Hi there, this is Adam Jones from SBS Boatlife. Hope you guys are well. You join me here in the Marine Power Suzuki Angling stage within the Marine Power Suzuki Angling area, and I'm joined by David Lyons from Tackling Minds. So thank you very much for joining us, mate.
Thank you for inviting me down.
No worries at all. How's things?
Yeah, pretty good. You know, I was new to the whole sea fishing world, boating, etc. So it's been a massive learning curve for me, and one of our volunteers, Dave, who's down with us as well today. So yeah, great experience so far.
Good. What do you think of the show? Do you think we're going in the right direction?
Well, it is my first time down here, as I say, but it's a mega show. As soon as you walk through the door, it's quite a spectacle, that's for sure. So good on you guys for pulling this one off. For sure.
Bit different to our usual carp shows that we're all used to, isn't it?
Exactly, that's for sure. Yeah.
Cool. Well, today is obviously all about Tackling Minds, the charity that you've created, and obviously a bit of the backstory as to how Tackling Minds has come about. Obviously, your story and your thought process behind Tackling Minds. And I think it's really worth talking about. We've spoken about in lots of our talks over the last few days about how we show that angling is more than just going fishing. And there's lots of ways that we do that. That's conservation. There's loads of other things, but one of the main things that it is helping people's mental health. And I think this move towards prescribing fishing to help people through mental health problems, PTSD, and obviously getting through addiction as well, is really worth talking about. And that is where Tackling Minds comes in. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, and obviously about Tackling Minds as the inception, and then we'll go through where you were.
Right, brilliant. So I'm 39 now, and literally over the last, let's say 10 years ago, started having issues with alcoholism. And I started self-medicating due to mental health issues. I suffered severely with anxiety, generalised anxiety, and my only coping mechanism at the time was picking up a drink, unfortunately, and it did enable me to function, get out of the house, and just get out and just do my day-to-day things. It was quite sad, really, and things eventually progressed where I was fully dependent on alcohol. It didn't happen overnight, but over a matter of months, it's went from bad to worse, where I needed to function, to tie my shoelaces, to get in the shower.
I think it's probably worth putting a bit of a video just so you can see where Dave was at before.
So at this point, this is just over 2.5 years ago, and this in the morning, I'm asking my mum, where I needed drink, because I knew once there's no drink in the house, I knew the chances of going into withdrawal, which I've been through that many times. Not just that it's dangerous, or bear in mind my anxiety here is heightened anyway. It was awful, but I didn't know my mum was filming that at all. But the doctor at this point said, if I wasn't holding down food, it's a matter of days, weeks, if you're lucky, if you continue, if you're alive, basically. I went in a detox, my 4th detox, and from that day on, I'm sober, which leads into my journey with Tackling Minds.
Amazing. And obviously it's quite a shocking video, I guess, for those of us that have not been around addiction and have not seen it before. And I think the fact that you found angling, or you've not found angling after having addiction, but you used your angling background to start seeing a positive benefit, is firstly amazing for yourself. But the fact that you've then connected that and started this wonderful charity is amazing. So let's talk about Tackling Minds. Obviously you can see here that there is a huge amount of support behind Tackling Minds across the angling industry, and that's because, let's be honest, I think everybody broadly agrees that this is a really, really positive thing to use our wonderful sport that we all really use, whether you've got active mental health problems or not. I certainly use angling as my headspace to get out and be in nature and set myself at the end of a long week at work or a stressful conversation with somebody. It's a nice way to kind of wind down, but you've just taken it to that next level. So where did it come from? Where did the brainchild of Tackling Minds come from?
Just sort of picking up from where you left off there is because I was, after my recovery period, I was still suffering with really bad anxiety, and I moved across from a lake, and I've been fishing. I've not been fishing for 25 years, but that love of fishing had never left me. So decided to get some fishing gear, and honestly, from picking up the rod again, getting outside, I could see the benefits straight away. Better than any medication, better than any therapy. I should say the 1,000,001 medications the doctors had put me on. and the benefits I was getting from being outside on the bank fishing again, it was just, yeah, giving me, I'd say, I can't even put it into words really. So the benefits I was getting, I knew if that's going to work for me, it's going to work for other people. And I thought, and that's where Tackling Minds was born pretty much. And I went home, created a Facebook page, and within a matter of like days, there was hundreds, and weeks, literally thousands of people following the page who resonated with the idea, wanting to volunteer.
Yeah.
Sorry, demanding people wanting to come and use our service, and yeah, that's where it was led onto the NHS. And I found if it's working for me, and imagine how many other people are going through the same process as me, being prescribed medication for, I'd say, with literally no particular reason. So there's what was called the NHS social prescribing scheme, which is when you go to the doctors, they can prescribe you holistic therapies instead of medication.
Yeah.
Fishing wasn't recognised at this point, and as I say, because I'd seen the benefits I was getting, it was a no-brainer. I campaigned, I just worked my socks off to shout from the rooftops for angling to get recognised on the NHS, which it is now available. So if you go to the GP, they can refer you to organisations like Tackling Minds.
That's fantastic. And I mean, firstly, congratulations on getting them to do that. I think that's a massive thing for angling. And when you touch on people coming and using your services, what does that look like? So, I'm an addict. I've gone to, my GP. We're going through the process of trying to help me out, and whatever that looks like. And one of the conversations is, well, you could go fishing, and we know Tackling Minds, so they put me in contact with you. What then happens after that?
So yeah, it's quite a simple process, like you just explained well there. And so they'll find out when a Tackling Minds session is, turn up to one of our events. We'll have a number of coaches. We supply the bait, we supply the venue, the expertise with the coaching side of things, and yeah, show them the basic fundamentals and just get them out. Sometimes the fishing is secondary to what we do. A lot of our volunteers have a lot of lived in experience, if it's addiction, mental health, whatever it may be. So, and there's no better environment than out on the water to have open discussions. There's something around fishing and being in the outdoors that allows you to have those conversations around mental health or whatever the issue may be.
Amazing. So they come along, spend some time talking, hopefully open themselves up to angling again. If they've never been fishing, you can teach them, give them the gear, show them how to tie the knots, hopefully catch that first fish, see a benefit. Come to a few sessions, I guess.
Yeah, come to a few sessions. There's no limit on how many sessions they come to, but the longer they do come to us, the better. They open up more. They're obviously learning. They've got a better knowledge within fishing as well.
Yeah.
It's to try and get them to a level where they're competent enough to go out unsupervised without, say, our volunteers, to have that experience to go fishing and reap the benefits that we all know is out there on offer.
Amazing.
To have.
Yeah. And then so you've done that, you've given them 5 or 6 sessions, and another thing that Tackling Minds do, and I've kind of got a through line on this because I think it's really important, because one thing Dave's not particularly good at, I think, is screaming from the rooftops of how good your organisation is and how other anglers can get involved, because you're just doing your stuff and you're kind of face down in it, but what you're doing is fantastic. I think people will want to be involved in some way. So they come to your sessions, they get involved with angling, hopefully they see a benefit, but you also then supply them with gear to be able to go and do fishing in their own time, to try and build it into their lives, so that if they are feeling sad or if they've got a particular mental health acute moment, they can go fishing whether there's a Tackling Minds session or not. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. And like I say, it's just going back on what you said there, I think you sell Tackling Minds better than I do. Sometimes I do need to step back and reflect on what the organisation has achieved, which sometimes I don't come across great at times, because like I say, I'm that busy with what I'm doing. But yeah, we do set people up with, we get a lot of tackle donations ourselves.
Yeah.
What a better way is to give them to other people who sometimes don't have the money.
Yeah.
We can kit them out, give them the right gear, and they've got the skills, and yeah, they can go out on their own as well. Amazing.
And when we get down to the nitty gritty of how people can get involved, obviously you could donate tackle to Tackling Minds. That's, I'm sure, something that you could do. I would imagine that there are other funding mechanisms that you guys have, but from an angling standpoint and from the average angler, you can also go onto the Tackling Minds website, click on the link, and you can donate to Tackling Minds to help them do the things that they do. And I think it's really admirable as well that you're, like I said, Tackling Minds is 2 years in, isn't it? You're going into your third year. You've been, focused. The growth of Tackling Minds and getting this out to more people is going to come from all of us, starting to get behind the organisation. Dave can't do it all by himself. He does have a great group of volunteers, but there is funding that's needed. So go and check out the website. Is there anything else that people can do to get involved?
No, again, he's just spread the word. If it's about Tackling Minds, if it's about mental health, if it's about fishing in general, it's just getting that message out there, basically, massively.
And is there a particular type of angling that you found works best, or is it just get people started with the basics, and then do you move on to more complicated bits of angling? Have you tried sea angling, course angling?
That's it. There's no limit really, but the main thing is teaching people the basic fundamentals. If it's fishing on a whip, if it's teaching them the basics on shore sea angling, is something that we will be delving into at some point in the future. Got quite a lot of exciting news happening, which you'll find out about that. But we want to get everyone to a competent level to start with, but then, what's to say, which we see it all the time, is going into match fishing, going into carp fishing, entering competitions. It's endless what's out there for them.
Fantastic. And I think, I think the other thing we see with mental health is that kind of taboo of talking about it. And I think something that's really admirable about what you're doing is how open you are about your experience that's led you to this place. And we all need to be a bit more open about talking about our mental health. And there is a generational thing involved with that. And with angling potentially, edging more onto the older generation, I think it's just worth thinking about. If you're having a tough time, you can get in contact with Tackling Minds. If you are already a fisherman, it's a place to be able to go and vent those conversations. And don't be afraid to talk about your mental health, because Dave certainly isn't, and lots of the people involved with your charity are in exactly the same place. So let's just have a little look at a few of these photos that we've got running behind us. One thing I love talking to you about this is whenever we talk about the sessions and the fishing, as I'm sure you can see, there's a twinkle in your eye about angling and what it's doing to help people, and you can really see that in these photos. I do a lot of specimen angling and big fish hunting and whatever. There's something very special about watching somebody holding a small carp or a tiny roach that's caught on a whip and having the same buzz that people get from a 50-pound tope or a 60-pound carp.
Like for instance, this service shoes is a prime example. Some of these service shoes, it's the only time in the week they're getting outside on that couple of hours, whatever it may be, they're spending on the bank with us. You can see how valuable or how vital that couple of hours may be or is. And we see this on a daily basis. It's unbelievable what fishing can do to people.
So how many sessions do you run? Is there a particular part of the country that you mostly do sessions in? Tell us about that.
Primarily in the northwest, that's like the Greater Manchester region at the minute. But what is important for us as an organisation at this moment in time, which a lot of people don't see, is what goes on behind the scene now with the infrastructure of Tackling Minds on getting the in-house specialist team, which we have now got, which we are now currently building as well, and solidifying our model and being able to expand. But like you said earlier, I've sort of outgrown my skill set. I'm there to be the voice of Tackling Minds, so to speak, but it's so important that we do get that specialist to help in the back office, which we are doing.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good point. There's lots of volunteering opportunities. There's lots of things that Tackling Minds kind of need that isn't just donating tackle or donating money. If you can't do that and you've got some time or some expertise, I'm sure it's worth getting in contact with the guys and seeing if there's anything that you can do, because as you can see from these stories that have been coming up behind us, this is helping an awful lot of people with something that they've been struggling with for a very long time and haven't been able to find that outlet, I guess, to be able to fix it.
I'll just say as well, the first ever scientific peer-reviewed research we've just been involved with Angling Direct and Angling Ruskin University, and we can now prove conclusively that fishing reduces anxiety, depression, but also suicide rates, and we have research to prove that now.
That is incredible. And I think, you know, like we've said, we've discussed this in lots of talks over the last few days, but any examples of where we can show that our sport that we're so passionate about is bigger than just going and sitting on a riverbank and catching fish is fantastic for angling as a whole. I think from the conservation angle and from this angle as well, this is what solidifies the future of angling as a kind of overall holistic pastime as well as a sport, and something that we can all be really, really proud of. Mate, I think we're going to leave it there. I think it's been an absolute pleasure to have you. I really appreciate you coming along to SBS Boatlife this year. I hope to see you next year. Really looking forward to seeing the growth over the next 12 months. Looking forward to doing maybe some Boatlife videos and coming and seeing you up in the north.
A session or whatever, mate. You're always welcome.
That would be great. I think we're going to do some stuff at Linear as well.
100%. I look forward to that.
And when there's a barbecue, I'm always going to be there. So we'll see you in the summer. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, buddy.
And best of luck for next year.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.